So obviously spoilers for Rezero. Don't watch this if you don't want to be spoiled. I just want to talk about the episode, okay? So we have season 2, episode 2. Oh man, season 2, part 2, episode 2. So episode like 15, and then like I think it's like episode 40 out of all of them. I think the last one was 39. I cannot believe my man did it. So first, let's start off. Let's go in order, right? So we have a little bit of Otto versus Garfield, and boy, oh boy, am I proud of kind of both of them, right? The animation for this was actually kind of smooth. I freaking loved the fact that we went back to Otto's past, and the place that he lived in looked a little like styled. It looked a little like Middle Eastern. It was really cool. Like I was not expecting them to go there. I know one of the towns. I'm not gonna say that. I think that's a spoiler. Let's just say this, right? So the town he went to has a different feel to it, and it's very different from like the medieval feel you get from Lagunaga. So that was a nice touch. It was cool to see Otto's kind of little backstory, him as a kid. I have no idea what I would do either if I could hear every single thing that lived in existence basically around me, especially bugs. Do you know how many bugs there are just around your house, in your walls? I don't want to alarm you, but there's a lot, so that would be freaking crazy. And it seems like I love the way the artist did this, because the way that kids naturally develop languages is just by being around the language a lot, and then sometimes having people speak to them. But typically, babies and everybody else who are stuck in this process are forced to learn the language because their brain will slowly adapt to not understanding what's going on. So even like right now, I'm learning my Japanese lessons and things. The longer I've been around the language, the more I have times where my brain goes, oh, I know this sentence, and there's only one thing in that image, like they're holding a pencil, so that in pencil must be pencil. Like I didn't learn that word specifically from anime, but I've learned some words from anime. Your brain gets forced to a situation where it has to figure these things out. Otto was a quiet kid for obvious reasons. Then brother just has to go start bragging. It's always somebody else. Like obviously his brother was a kid. Someone else had to go brag about it. Then in that whole swarm of bugs, I was worried it was gonna get really Rezero. I was surprised it wasn't that bad. It was just a swarm of bugs. Probably ate some crops, but nobody died. I was very surprised nobody died. But then again, they weren't mobbies. There was no horn or anything, so fine, you know. So Otto has a little bit of a backstory. We even get all the way up to the part where he's at the witch's cult. Also, wait. Otto left town because somebody accused him of cheating, sleeping with his girlfriend, wife. Then Otto comes back and goes, I didn't sleep with her. She belongs to the streets. She slept with 8 people. Then I just socks him in the face. You better get out of town. He made enemies out of the most powerful person in his neighborhood. Freaking Otto was a Fresh Prince. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm done. Alright. So best part about the second part, because we're just getting Otto's backstory, the times he's cried and how each time he cries has changed his life. We get him going by himself when the witch's cult shows up to Roswell's domain. And then we just have Betelgeuse with his thumb out like this, like, hey, we're taking your ride. That was the first thing that came out of my mind. Is can we get a ride? We just need. Look, I'll drive. We'll bring your car back. There's like 20 of us, and I need to put these guys in the back seat. So you're gonna have to get out. They kidnap him. This is the first time we've seen Betelgeuse in a while. So that was also kind of cool to get Mr. Death. After that, we get Otto. He's trapped. He's scared. Then Dogman, as everybody loves to call him, freaking shows up, cuts him out of his binds. He's like, oh, you're lucky. Our basically Subaru was the one that allowed you to be saved today. And he was like, what? Who? He's like, it's cool, man. If you're gonna cry, here's a tissue. Just don't show me, man. I don't like emotions. And then he leaves. It's not what he says, but it's basically where I'm just gonna go with it. He leaves, and then he's crying, and then Mimi and her brother tie him up, and then he goes through the rest of his backstory. So we get a little like explanation of Otto, and maybe a little bit more of his powers. We get to actually see him talk with the animals. And like they talk in very simple sentences. It seemed like the lizard, I think, gave like a decent sentence, but the bugs are very water will rain soon kind of talk. Outside of that, we get a little Otto versus Garfield. So my boy Otto had I guess it should start off from the beginning. So I'll kind of go from the beginning of the fight, right? So Otto and him are in the room. Garfield's like, don't get too cocky, kid, and punches him in the gut. Otto's like, oh my gosh, ow, this guy has like super strength and that freaking hurt. Then Garfield runs out to go get to Subaru. He falls down the ditch, tons of bugs, realizes he does not have the crystal on his neck, and Otto actually has it because Otto is a smooth operator, right? Otto is now running for his life because Garfield is chasing him. However, he's putting up a good distraction. The animals are telling him, like, oh my gosh, he's coming. One of the animals says he's gonna kill you. You're gonna die, so sad. So that's hilarious. Also, they know what kind of threat Garfield is just by watching him move. But he hasn't gone tiger form. That was the other thing. I figured like he'd be enraged already, but no, he was just gonna die to regular freaking Garfield. Oh, Otto starts throwing out these weird bombs, like they're like little plants, and I'm guessing like they just explode. He's throwing them at Garfield. He's hit a couple out the way. The first two I think kind of stun him a little bit, but then I love the animation they give him. Otto throws his last three. He punches the one, kicks the other, and then like I think he hits the other one again with his fist or whatever, and that looks sick. My dude looks sick. I'm not happy he's chasing down Otto, but I'm really happy that we might get the Triple Boy versus Roswell dynamic. I really just want them to show up and do that stupid thing I said in the last episode. Hey, you're under arrest. It's the three of us, and then Garfield picks him up, and then Subaru starts monologuing. Again, Otto in the back posing. That's all I want. That's all I want. Okay. So Otto is now getting the crap beat out of him. I think he only got punched once again, but that's enough to bring him out of commission. His power has limits. He's also bleeding from his nose because he cannot use this thing for too long. Then Ram shows up. I don't know if she was already a part of the plan or she was just watching. She was talking about watching. It was pathetic. So I don't know if she was just like, oh, well, there's something terrible going on over there. Let me show up. Or if she was a part of the plan. I kind of think it was the first. I think she just hopped in there. So now it's her versus freaking Garfield. Also, we get like the first time where Ram like acknowledges Subaru's usefulness in a situation. She brings him down first. She also brings down Otto for looking so pathetic against Garfield. It's not his fault he can't fight the shirtless angry Chad, okay? It's not his fault he can't fight Bakugo in Rezero, okay? Ram, freak. Anyways, so she's going off on that, and she's like, he's useless, he's not good for anything, but he has really good timing, unnaturally good timing, which I thought was a hilarious little point to that. Garfield is getting pissed. He instead chooses to go like full, what do you call it, big tiger form or whatever, and he goes to swing at a Ram, and Otto's like, oh no, watch out, and instead, Ram just starts slugging the crap. She gave freaking Garfield the hands, man. She can fight, dude. She can fight. She is punching his giant tiger form. Now, I have to wonder if he's holding back at all. But if not, man, she's unnaturally strong too. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. Which also puts in perspective if she is. She really, even when she was trying to kill Subaru, she really wasn't completely trying to kill him yet, because she could have kind of just run a hole through him with her fist. Like, she's punching Garfield in his tiger form hard. He's falling over. So, Otto has to save her life once because she runs out of her energy for a second, and then like she starts bleeding from the head. I think it's probably from her horn. After that, then she throws the wind at him. He's like, oh, and then he goes back running at her, and then she knocks him out, I think. It almost looks like she knocks him out. And then we just cut to Subaru. So we have no idea what happened to them. We're just like, oh, okay. Well, I guess, I hope they're all right. This is Rezero, so I'm not sure they are all right. So then we get Subaru talking to Emilia, right? So this kind of went more to the direction I thought it was going to. Because the first episode makes it seem like she's going to just start talking to him again. But no, she is kind of mad. Subaru gets there. She starts talking about how you're probably disappointed in me. You probably think like I'm useless at this point or something. Something to that degree. She's self-deprecating. And Subaru goes, no, I'm not mad at you. I love you. And then she is like, one, she calls him a liar. Two, she kind of explains the whole situation with Puck. 3, we get to the point where she starts describing that her memories are coming back. And Subaru takes some very interesting steps. Now, I'm kind of skimming through all this because it was kind of, this is for my first reaction from it. I want to get my reactions out of this, right? So, Subaru takes a page from not only Rem's book, right? Because as he's describing this stuff to Emilia, I could almost practically hear, it wasn't the same song, but I could almost hear the Rem song she sings during her confession to Subaru. We also get him, because she's like, oh, you're not actually chastising me. You just keep like, oh, well, I love you, so it's all okay, because I didn't expect anything of you anyways. Then when Subaru starts talking to her like his father talked to him, that was also a new step outside of Rem's confession, that she still loves him regardless of all of his flaws and faults. She's aware of it. However, she wasn't as harsh. When he started pulling out his father's stuff, he was that was a bit more harsh. He was like, you could stop being a pain in the butt to everybody else. You're the one who was over here talking about, oh, well, I want to take the trial, so that way you don't have to take the trial. I can do this. But here you are acting out, and I know full well there's so many people who can't stand Emilia. So they were hoping the whole conversation was going to go there. Then he pulls out his mom's book, but that's the only person he mentally acknowledges when he's copying and stealing the homework. There are people in the YouTube comment section for the freaking scene. I'm going to get to that scene later. You know what scene it is. What was it? What is that first top comment? Okay, not that one. I'll still say that one in a second. Hey, Rem, can I borrow your homework? Oh, okay, Subaru-kun. Just change it up a little bit so that the teacher doesn't notice. I can do that. Subaru gets an A. Rem gets a C+. That's where we're at with this. That was so funny. But it was an endearing moment. The only thing that freaked me out a little bit, just because we've already seen Satella do something similar to this, was his Emilia eyes. I get the point of the scene. I know it's to say, like, she's all he can see, right? She is that important to him, and that's what she needs to feel at the moment. However, because we've already seen a character do that, and it was one of the creepier characters in the show, yeah, it still made me a little, I was worried where the scene was going to go. It's Rezero. So my brain was always thinking, what the freak is going to go wrong? So, she's really breaking down. We're actually having an argument between the two of them, which is not something we've had. But it's probably good that Emilia is voicing her actual opinions. You can hear, and I hope people can realize now, she's not mean to Subaru in Season 1 because she's mean to him. She thinks it's a waste of time to focus on her. She doesn't understand because she's actually, and I've said it before, she is basically in the same position as Subaru is, because she's basically the protagonist of the show. She's a character with a terrible backstory, with kind of unnatural powers. She doesn't have like the super god blessing powers, but if you watch Frozen Bonds, you would know that she kind of has some weird ice thing that almost makes it seem like when the Nine Tails is going to come out. She gets a strange, wise leader, you could say, and also a new father figure, which I could almost put Puck in Jiraiya's place, since they both have the same element basically, and I'm sure he's improved her magic. At the same time, again, then we also have characters that seem like friends but are actually enemies. Now, Naruto did not have this, but she basically lives with Orochimaru. That's basically what happened. And Orochimaru was like, I'll bring your village back to life if you help me run, if you run for Lagunaga, so I can eventually kill the dragon. And so, you know, these are a whole bunch of things that she's going through. She's just not dying over and over again that she knows of. So she's in this position where now she's running for Hokage, basically, or some big position in an anime. She's up against people who are way better and way more qualified for her than in the position, except maybe Priscilla and Felt. Anastasia and Krush are way more ready for this role. So she's trying to bring her village back. She doesn't know what happened to them, and she's probably remembering now. As she said herself, her memory's coming back, and it's stressing her out. But she's in such a predicament. She's in such a predicament. And her and Subaru are both not given information about the trial. Subaru's at least figuring everything out because he keeps dying. Now, that's not an easy way to get that information. It's also not a pleasant way to get that information, but he is getting information. He is becoming less confused than he was in the beginning of this, to the point he can pull out lines from his dad and from his mother of, it doesn't matter where you began at, which is still kind of a Rem line too. It doesn't matter what you began at. It only matters where we're going from here, where the end goal is. And he finally understood that message, because Echidna was kind of messing up that message too. Echidna wanted him to think it doesn't matter what you do to get to the end goal, which isn't right. That's what Roswald and Echidna would do, not what his mother would want him to do. His mother still wants him to pick a path that obviously wouldn't get him killed a bajillion times. But she doesn't want him to lament on the fact that he's already screwed up before. There's no need to focus on it. Which is great for Emilia's state, because she's remembering the past and doesn't know what part of the past even relates to her. She thought she was already a complete person, and now she's having a Kingdom Hearts 2 Roxas am I a nobody kind of moment. She doesn't think she's like a fake person, but that's where her head is. Like, she's remembering a bunch of stuff that doesn't belong to her, or it does, but doesn't feel like it belongs to her. So Emilia keeps calling him a liar. He's like, I'm not a liar, I love you. And so she's like, well, there's no way I think she almost says, like, there's no way you can prove that. And then the scene happens. Subaru tells her, he's like, if you don't want this, dodge. the most Chad line for it. Do I have your consent? Without trying to axe. So that way it's not like, can I kiss you? He's not doing all that. My dude kisses Emilia, and I know all the Rem stands just screamed in agony. But I'm sorry, this is like, if I'm gonna say anything, it's not that Rem isn't is a bad romance partner. There are parts to her that make sense, but for the story of Subaru and where he's going, this makes more sense. And when it goes to Emilia as well, this plot isn't just Subaru's plot. We're seeing it from Subaru's side, but Subaru is almost a side character in the show that is the Rezero world. When it comes to the witches, then he's the main character, because he's the only one that's probably going to get all this done. But when it comes to getting this whole, we got to get the new ruler of Lagunaga, and whatever strange things has to do with the emblems, and probably whatever's going to have to do with the dragon, because all the emblems have a dragon on it. Whatever's going to have to deal with all that. This is Emilia's story. So, having our two protagonists finally come to some sort of agreement, finally come to this emotional moment, because we kind of got it almost with the end of season 1. That was a really touching moment, and you saw it from Emilia that she, even then, as he's confessing his feelings, he's done this twice now, she does not believe him. So this is like the first act that's kind of gotten her to listen to his feelings. Which is a little ironic, because everybody feels like the opposite. He kind of did do that kind of talk to her, where she was like, I'm not a doll. We finally got to the point where he was like, well, then why don't you just do what you need to do, or just keep looking. I don't know if he said keep looking pretty. He kind of like, the wording was kind of, I'm kind of rushing this. I wanted to give my reaction, okay? So he says that line to her, and she's like, I'm not a doll. So we're finally getting that, like, his weeb side of her, like that thought process of her. She won't allow that anymore either. It was a really well written moment, actually. Like, this is actually like a good peek into it. I feel like the first season me had more emotional weight, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I cannot believe my dude actually did it. And which is better too. I don't know if this counts as Emilia's first kiss, but this is technically Subaru's second kiss with her. This is the good one. Oh my gosh, my dude was blushing the entire time, but he did something that Rim would be proud of. He stuck to his feelings the entire time. He didn't run away from his issues. He didn't run away from his problems. He faced them head on. He even learned from her. He even learned from his parents. He actually understands what they were saying to him, so much to the point that he can apply it to another person, and that's how you know he really understands. And for all you people who said that their relationship, she's his mother figure, the freak, guys, do we watch the same series? No, and clearly the writer didn't think so either. So one thing I forgot to mention, the entire thing, Emilia keeps asking him why he left, and he just kind of keeps giving faces like, ugh, like he's shocked about it for some reason. And also, he said he cannot talk about it. He doesn't think he can say. So I'm wondering if it's trial related, or maybe the reason why he's banged up is because he went to go talk. This is my theory. I have no experience with light novel or anything. I just want to say it. My theory is he went to go talk to Echidna, and this is the only help he's gotten from her. I don't think Emilia's in the tomb. I don't think, because she thinks that other people would be able to find her, right? But if she is, then I would think it would have to be, since that'd be the only way Subaru would have to have talked to an echidna, because that would be the only way he can come back in. But that's only a theory. This is probably a very bad theory. Do not listen to this, okay? It's probably very bad. This is only my head getting, all right? I have no idea. It could just be Puck related. Puck could have just said, don't say anything, let her get her memory back. So I'm gonna go a little bit into it a little bit more, I think. But I do want to finish, so we'll finish this part, and then if you're done, you're done. We get to the point where Garfield is outside, and this dude is like, I don't know if it's blood, if he's burnt, but his arms all red and stuff. And then him and Subaru and Emilia walk outside, and it's sunset. So they could have been fighting Garfield all the way to sunset. They could have knocked him out in the morning, talked to him, and then said, you need to go meet with Subaru and them. But he wasn't, I don't think he was that banged up at the end of the fight. So no, I think that might be like later injuries. So I don't know how much. I hope Rem and Otto are alive and he didn't just come back with blood all over his arm and go, yeah, I'll do what you say now. This is Rezero. Terrible things, worse things have happened. So I would not be surprised if only 2 people of the cast have died. That doesn't seem like their writing style at all. That's just me and my my doomsday theories. But no. Wow. Just wow. So with the kiss scene, I just wanted to say, like, they really allowed Subaru to slowly have to try to understand Emilia more. First with season 1, we already got the fact that he didn't really understand where she was coming from at all. He didn't understand her self-deprecation, which is ironic, because the scene she gives when she's complaining about herself is very similar to Subaru complaining about himself to Rem. When Rem's like, no, you're a great person. I am proud to have you around me and all kind of stuff like that. Even if you do have mistakes, I know that you have terrible habits. Like, I know your personality isn't the most amazing person in the world, but you're still a good person. And that was like it's a nice parallel going on here, because now people can see, hopefully they can see, and they don't just go all full Rem stand in the season she's not even in here. Emilia as a character does not like herself, and you can tell in the first season that's the reason why she doesn't go to the village, because she doesn't think she deserves to go to the village. That's why she doesn't try to stay around. Like, she'll stay around Subaru, but she'll always ask him the question, or whenever he says, he's like, oh, I love you, Emilia, or she says all those stupid nicknames and junk, she goes, oh, you're being funny, ha 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 ha, because she. So this also the only part about episode 15 that I think is okay, outside of, you know, Subaru's cringy I'm a knight thing. Him yelling while they're, like, everybody, they're all just dunking on Emilia, and Roswell's clearly not doing it, as we know now, because he wants to see what Subaru will do, and if he fits the prophecy. That's why he smiles when Subaru tells him, like, why are you guys freaking kidding? You guys have no idea what Emilia's like. Why are you all talking about her like this? Emilia, in that whole scene, she didn't start standing up for herself until Subaru started opening his mouth. Then a part of her came back and she started standing up proud again. Those were the only parts I was okay with. When he starts going on the night tirade and you're just a liar, then that's him going for himself. But the original intention of his move was still a positive intention. He's not going to sit around and just let them bully Emilia over and over again. Now, he shouldn't expect, it's not his job to do that. She has to do it eventually, but he might be even subconsciously aware of how she sees herself, kind of. Until we get to the village, though, that's when he starts to really think about it. Like, oh, they all see her this way. Like, you all think this way. The Appa guy, the villagers, the royals. Again, he wasn't having it with the royals, but with everybody else who he just seems as, like, common, nice folk, he's surprised and taken back that, like, yeah, they're like, yeah, she looks exactly like the witch. We're gonna judge her for that. Again, this is a little different. The witch did plumb half the world into darkness. However, it's still not fair to Emilia, and Subaru was correct to be upset about that. In her mind, there is no way except Puck. Puck's like the only time she's allowed herself to do this. She will not allow herself to think that somebody actually cares about her. That's a sad place to get to the point she thinks she's useless, like Subaru did. The same kind of mindset and stuff. When Subaru was like, she even said kind of the line that Subaru said to his parents, I wanted you guys to call me useless. I wanted you guys to tell me that I was good for nothing and then kick me out of the house. And then his dad went, are you an idiot? No. You're my freaking kid. The freak am I gonna tell you that? He did kick him in the head, so take that with a grain of salt. However, he's like, you're my son. I'm not gonna kick you out just because school's not going right. That's not the end-all be-all of the world. You're not feeling good. I was hoping you would find your way out of it. His mother was trying to find more of a direct route, but his father was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna hate you because of that. You can't get me to hate you because you didn't do the schoolwork right, which is the same way Subaru sees the situations. Like, I'm not gonna hate you because you didn't get I couldn't pass the trial the first time. The freak, that's not gonna change his emotions towards you. But she would never understand that till maybe now, and we still have to see whether or not she grasp this completely. Like, it seems like at the end of the episode, we get that glimmer where he's like, you have to have something that you want to fight for, and then Subaru shows up in her eyes. But how well she will adapt this is another thing, because I don't think it's just gonna be the trial. We're gonna obviously see her character grow. She's gonna have to grow to a higher extent, even when it comes to possible, like, future events. Like, again, going back to Lagunaga, she's gonna have to try to be ruler of Lagunaga. Can you picture Emilia right now with her self-deprecation being ruler of as we see with season 2 of Subaru? Subaru did not just become great at season 1. He was still a little bit of Subaru. Like, he had a better mindset about the situation, but he would still allow himself to become a tool to the point where he doesn't care about himself, and everyone, including the witches, have to tell him to care about himself a bit more. The witches had to tell him, you are a person, value yourself a bit more. Don't trust Echidna, because she does not value you. She values what you're worth, your skill, as well as she values out of you. She doesn't care about you outside of that. We'll see if she changes in any sort of character later on. I'm not opposed to seeing her grow. But wow, dude, I cannot believe they've taken it this far. And then all the little mirroring parts were the best part of this. Again, hopefully, do not just come here to listen to me talk about this. I'm going to butcher this episode. I just want to talk about this for my discussion. Be sure you're actually watching the episodes, okay? Don't use me as your information broker, all right? I just want to talk about this stuff. Either way, I was Team Emilia, so I'm sorry. I don't hate Rem. I almost did in the beginning because you guys were hyping her up so much, and then some of the stuff she did in the beginning, I was like, what? But oh my gosh, that confession scene every time. I can still hear her singing the music. So no, I cannot hate Rem either. I just think Rezero has good characters. My opinion is, if there's a bunch of good characters, why should I hate any of them? Don't leave!